All right, we're going to be setting up a Heroku pipeline today. So I have this Next app that I created. I just ran a create Next app and I came in here into the packets.json. I added this dash p $ port so that it's going to start it on Heroku's port, and I've added this Heroku post build command. That's all you need to do to get a Next app set up. React is pretty good to go out of the box when it comes to hosting on Netlify, and Netlify uses a dyno um, for npm start, and whenever you're doing a node project, you're going to want to make sure that you have a start script in your package.json and that your start is using node, or if you're doing TypeScript, TS node to run your main file. You don't really want nodemon in your start script whenever you're pushing it up to Heroku. A couple other things that'll snag up a Heroku deployment. I've got a yarn lock here because I use yarn to install my node packages. If you use npm, you're going to get a package-lock.json. If you're working just by yourself and you use one, you're probably not going to run into any problems. But if you're working on a team, some people might be using Yarn and other people might be using NPM. And whenever that happens, you'll end up with two lock files in your repository, and that'll cause Heroku to freak out and won't know which one to use, and then so it's not gonna deploy right. One way to fix that, if you're working on a group project and you can come in here into your git ignore and say, y'all decided that you wanted to use yarn. You could put the package-lock.json in your git ignore, and if you decide on npm, you could put the yarn lock on there. But yeah, once you got all of that stuff, you're pretty good to go. Also, one last thing to mention for Node backend deployments is whenever you set your port variable, you want to make sure that you're using process.env.port and pointing to that, because Heroku is going to want to run its own. It's going to want to run the app on its own port. So if you hard code the port to 4000, um, that's going to cause another error with Heroku. If you got all of those things set up, you're pretty set for success. So we could come in here and we're at my Heroku dashboard. I'm going to come up here to new and create new pipeline. We're going to name a pipeline. I'm just going to name it next pipeline. And then we're going to select my repository. So we're going to connect to there and create pipeline. So now our pipeline is set up and it's connected to our GitHub. Now we have review apps, staging, and production. So we're going to want to connect our master branch to staging. And whenever we make pull requests against master, we are going to be able to see those in our reviews. So say we create a branch called um, rename variable, whatever. And we make that pull request into staging. Once that pull request is made, it's going to build a review of that application. So we'll be able to click on it over here and make sure that everything's working on a live website and everything looking good and we don't have any breaking changes. And once everything looks a-okay over here, we can merge that into master. And once that gets merged into master, it will update our staging and a new preview will show up, and we'll be able to click on that preview, make sure that master looks fine and dandy after the merge, make sure we didn't miss anything. And then once we have confirmed that staging and everything over here looks good, we'll click a little button called Promote to Production. and it will send it over here to production, and it'll be really fast, and we'll be able to view our application on our production website. So let's get started. We're going to start by creating a new app for our staging. I'm going to name it next app stage, and United States, I'm going to leave that as default. And it's kind of cool because Heroku is already hooked up our application um, to our GitHub repository since we set it up. It kind of already knows what to do. And so we're just going to click over here to enable automatic deploys, and we're going to deploy a branch. And this is going to take some time to build out. So while that's building, I'm going to go back to the pipeline and create our production app. So production, add app, create new app. Next app is already taken, so we're just going to name it next app prod. And then we can see that this is still building over here, but this is already set up. Let's click on it. And it's connected to GitHub. We don't need to enable automatic deploys because we're just going to be pushing up things to change. Since this is our production, whatever our production URL is going to be, we're going to want to set that here so we can add our domains over here. If you add a secure domain, an HTTPS domain, Heroku is going to want you to upgrade from free to hobby in your dynos so that it can manage the SSL certificate for you, which is totally worth it. But yeah, that's where you configure that, and it's almost done here. And then looks like it just finished. So now that it's done, we can open app. We've got nextappstage.herokuapp.com. So this is our staging URL, and we can see our next app looks perfect. Alright, so since all that looks great, we're going to hit promote to production. Click on promote, and then bam. We got next app prod, so this is our production URL now. Just going to take a second to load because it's fresh, and there we go. So now another cool thing about this, so I can come, I've got my next project here, and then so we've got welcome to next.js, and let's say, let's change this to say this is a new change. There we go. And I'm gonna create a branch. I got a little mini bash script to create Git branches, and I'm gonna name it branch. Alright, and I'm gonna add that change that I made and push that change up to my branch. We can come up here, change has recently pushed less than a minute ago. Compare and pull requests. Create pull request. And so now we have that pull request to master over here. Let's refresh the page. Ah, I gotta enable. Alright, create review app. and it's going to go through and do the build process for us. So that's going to take a minute because it's got to do the yarn install and build it and push it up. But once it's done, we'll be able to see what our changes look like on an actual website. And if they all look good, we can push those changes to our staging and then promote them to our production. And that's kind of the workflow. Alright, so our preview is done. You can open app. This is a new change. You know what? That looks good. So we're gonna come over here and merge it, the branch, and now you can see that we're building a new app, and that should be done in just a moment. Awesome. So that's finished. Come here to open app. We're on our stage URL. The change looks great. And so we can promote this to production. We're on our production URL. And we got our change. Beautiful. But yep, that is that's the workflow right there, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And I got a blog about this that I wrote on Dev, and I will share that link in the description as well, so you can kind of go over the written step by steps if you're into that. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all guys take it easy.